Hi, this is Ren, and this is All Walks of Film. So, I've been a fan of Moviepass over the past year, and I've defended it to the core. A lot of people said that it was an unsustainable business, and I really didn't want to believe that. And in the month of July, we saw the service kind of slip through the cracks. On July 26th, the service of the app just outright stopped, and we later found out it was because Helios and Matheson, the company that is funding Moviepass, ran out of money. And so immediately after that, they started limiting the type of movies that you were able to see. Like, they weren't allowing Mission Impossible. That was the very first movie that they just outright blocked. Then they incorporated that to The Meg and Christopher Robin and some other blockbusters down the way. But the deal got even more sour as time progressed. A couple weeks before, they implemented surge pricing, which confused a lot of people because you would think that surge pricing would be something that you had to pay the theater. Like, oh, hey, this is a big expensive movie. They're trying to reserve seats, and so Moviepass is going to pay this much, but then you have to pay a certain amount to the theater. But no, actually, you had to pay Moviepass, which doesn't really benefit the theaters really much at all, except putting more people in seats. But that was such an unpopular plan that they have decided to get rid of it. It still pops up every once in a while. If you've watched some of my vlogs that I've done, I did note that there were a couple movies that still had the surge pricing icon available, so that was a little weird. And after that, they tried to implement an extra $5, getting rid of surge pricing, so it would be like $15 a month, and still on one movie a day. And they said that some major releases would not be available. People were still upset about that, but it was a little bit more reasonable than like what they decided to do later. Which is then say, oh, hey, our unlimited movie plan? We're just not going to do that anymore. So anybody who's subscribed month to month immediately is put onto the new plan, although there was a screen that you had to actually select to approve that choice. I don't know what's going to happen to me because I've never manually accepted that, so my service could be blocked. I'll let you know, and I'll probably deal with customer service when that happens. And I just wanted to see. I didn't want to opt into anything without seeing what Moviepass's options were in the future. And I think that it's very important, if you're a customer of Moviepass, to be aware of what the options are, if there are options. So under their new plan, it's the same price, but instead of potentially 30 or 31 movies, they've lowered it down to 3. Many people will argue that this is still a good deal. I would say that if you live in New York or San Francisco, it's a great deal. Definitely not the deal that they had before. But if you live outside of those cities where they do offer like $5 matinees, I'd recommend doing that over paying full ticket price. Now, I understand that some of you live in places where you don't have theaters that provide that, as well as some people work hours that don't allow them to watch movies at their traditional matinee prices, and that kind of sucks. But the biggest thing that sucks with their new plan is actually the fact that they're implementing only 6 movies daily, which is more like 2 or 3 per theater, and sometimes just 1. I've been looking at the app every single day. Sorry, I haven't been doing vlogs for this because I figured that it would just kind of get annoying and redundant. But 6 movies daily. And like, I'm just going to look at the app right now and let you know what they have. It's really crazy because, this service was so much better than this. All right, so I live in Austin, Texas now, and the movies that are provided for me are Crazy Rich Asians, which I already saw, Mile 22, Papillion, and The Happy Town Murders, and The Miseducation of Cameron Post. All right, so this is better than a couple of days that I've gone because, like, there have been some times where I have been trying to see a particular movie and I just can't do it because, Moviepass, only provides like 2 movies, and usually they're not movies that I'm at all interested in because, they've been rated pretty low critical scores and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, why would I want to invest my money in that? I understand that right now they're going through a transitional period. Their business is suffering, and a lot of people are rage quitting. And Moviepass relied on subscribers, but their subscribers were depending on a service. At the highest, I think it was like 3 or 4 million people were subscribed to Moviepass, and over this past couple months, I wouldn't be surprised if it went down to 2. Now, the CEO currently says that not a lot of people have canceled their subscription yet. I think part of that is because there is a stipulation that if you cancel Moviepass, you can't sign up for another 9 months, which is an oddly specific time. And I know that there are probably a lot of people, myself included, that are just holding off a little bit to see if they essentially fix the problems that are going on right now. Moviepass is changing their policies seemingly daily. So it's a really unstable business right now. One of the things that I have not been fond of is hearing a lot of people criticizing people who use the app. Now, there are people who abuse the program, like people who scalp tickets, people who used Moviepass just to go to the bathroom, which that is a messed up situation that addresses more like inner city businesses than anything else. If you've lived in a big city, I don't know if you've experienced this, but I certainly have, where there are a ton of businesses that will not let you use the bathroom if you're not a paying customer. I understand kind of the motivations for that, just because like people overdose in the bathroom and stuff like that, but there have been times where people really, really need to use the bathroom, and public facilities sometimes can be very hard to find. There just seems to be a general notion from some people that are fans of the app to just get really angry at some of the users. Now, there are some people who did see a ton of movies with the app, and, well, quite frankly, the app didn't say that you were only allotted a certain amount of movies. That's kind of like what subscription services work like. Some people use it a lot, some people will use it a little. CEO Mitch Lowe thinks that because the average people see movies about 3 times a month, that everybody should live to that model. And while that deal is very sour, the fact that you're only providing 6 movies a day, and not just 6 movies in the theater, I need to reiterate this many times, it's a selection of 6. So, most theaters have more than 6 screens. Granted, there are some that only have like 2, but most theaters have more than 6 screens, which means that you're picking from a select group of, 6 films. And that also means that if you want to see something that's like super independent, if they're only providing 6 movies, the chances of you being able to see that film with Moviepass becomes really slim, which kind of hurts the Moviepass model, which is promoting independent films. And if you want to see a movie outside of the 3 movies, they do offer like $5 or $2 off, somewhere in between there. I would assume that it's going to be more like $2 off than $5, but we'll see in September. It gets to a certain point where the inconvenience is more than what it's worth. And I happen to live near a theater that provides movies on Tuesday for $5, at any time. And if I'm able to make that, seeing 3 movies at $15, just $5 more, and being able to choose exactly what 3 movies those are is a lot better. So the 6 movies would make sense if it was like, in a week, like 6 movies. But no, it's actually based on a schedule. So if you want to see a particular movie, you have to look online and try to figure out if that movie is available on that day. And yes, they have a schedule that they put out on their website, but then your whole viewing habits, revolve around that. And that almost becomes like the old TV model, and nobody watches TV that way. That's not true. Not a lot of people watch TV in the traditional standard. A lot of people, will use streaming apps and use cord-cutting habits. Sports people are a little bit different, but I'm talking about people who watch programs. Will, switch to like HBO Now instead of just watching HBO on TV, because then they can watch the shows on their own terms. And the fact that Moviepass is making its customers plan their events, because not only is it 6 movies, but it's also like 6 movies at select times. So you gotta look on the app, and these times can drop during the day. They are literally trying to make the app as hard as possible to use in order to save money. Which, while I understand still why some people will defend it, Moviepass gotta save money. At a certain point, it's like, they offered a service, and when they can't provide the service, they should just shut it down. I know that a lot of people would argue that that kind of defeats the point. But I would say that if I was paying for a certain thing and they change it in the middle of the month, that's not fair. They should reimburse me for the month and then provide the new plan. I don't think that would cost them as much money as essentially what they're doing, which is frustrating the customer so much that they rage quit. For the longest time, I thought Moviepass was going to be a service that sort of looked at demographics and then sold it back to movie theaters and movie studios. But it doesn't look like that's what they're doing. At the beginning, I essentially thought that they were using the app in a little bit more nefarious ways and essentially selling your data of like where you are to various companies and stuff, and your viewing habits and like when you see movies and all that kind of stuff, to try to sway you to go to restaurants maybe before the movie, maybe shop for supplies and stuff like that. And that sort of seemed to be hinted at before. And then when they were informed that that was super illegal, and that's kind of why Facebook got in trouble, they backed down on that. And I think that was their business model on how the company was actually going to make money. It's essentially making money off of your data to sell to advertisers. And I personally would be okay with that if they were open about it. And that would essentially be me saying, hey, I'm okay with targeted advertisement if you provide this service. But now that doesn't look like that could be the case for how they're going to save money. Now, providing this mediocre of a service now is certainly going to take their subscriber rate way down. And I think starting in the middle of next month in September, drive it even further. I would personally like to see Moviepass come out of this slump, but it doesn't look likely unless some other company takes over, Helios and Matheson, and sort of changes things up a bit. I'm still holding hope on some things changing, but it does not look good right now. And if they don't fix their issues by next month, if they provide a little bit more than 6 movies so that I'm not having to select between essentially 2 a day, although today was a little bit different. If I'm allowed to have more options for movies and it's 3 movies a month without this limited showtime stuff, because like some of the showtimes that they provide are crazy. Like it'll be 11 o'clock in the afternoon. Like the next showtime that you can see is like 7 or 10. I would like to see a movie now, if that's okay. And especially when it's only 3 movies a month, making limited showtimes means that people are going to be planning the entire month around your limited service. And then it's like, oh, well, now I have to like gauge whether this movie is going to be available and watch it at this time during the week. You know, it becomes more of a hassle than what it's worth. And yeah, I'm, you know, like I said before, if you don't live in a city like New York or many cities in California, it's not as good of a deal as Mitch Lowe is trying to make it out to be, you know, especially with this cut service. But what do you think? What do you think about the new changes that Moviepass has implemented? What do you think about Moviepass as it was? Have you signed up for the AMC A-list? Right now, that sounds like an amazing deal in comparison with Moviepass. Or have you signed up for Cinemia, which I gotta say, compared to Moviepass right now, looks a little bit more attractive just for the extra $5 a month. But I've heard some complaints about the convenience of the app. I'm going to do a couple more vlogs. I'm going to do a couple more podcasts. And I want to get your feedback on this. Maybe next week I'll do a live stream reading the comments sections for essentially all the videos that I've done about this. I will still try to put out some audio reviews. Right now, I just haven't had the time to edit things, and it's been tough. Also, there's some personal issues that I will elaborate on a little bit further of why Moviepass was really important to me and why these changes came at the worst time in my life. But I'll save that for another podcast. Thanks for listening, and keep holding your heads high.